Hello, it's Jilinda, and it's the end of August, and I'm down here at my favourite place at the Rocks to do my On the Rocks Reflections video at Clifton Beach where I live, and I really enjoy it here. I've just come back from Melbourne, 3 freezing days in Melbourne, so it's absolutely wonderful to be in this slightly warmer, but it's very late afternoon here, just before dark. It's a lovely time to come down and do some reflections. So in July, when I did my reflections video at the end of July, I talked about how I was rejigging things like my life balance and focusing on health and well-being, balance and energy, social connection, improving that or having more social connection and the importance of that, independent security and making sure that was in place. And then I hinted that there was more adventure to come. So through August, I started to look at, on my reflections of how August went. My God, it's come and gone, as they do these months. And I always like to look for a word that starts with, or a couple of words that start with the same letter as the month. So looking for A words. So I came up with things like ambitious, adventurous, audacious goals and audacious planning. Because, it's easy to have goals, it's easy to talk about goals, it's easy to write them down, but they need to be aligned with a strategy, a reason why. And then that strategy needs to have specific actions around it, and those actions are often big actions, so then they need to be chunked down into smaller tasks so that there's momentum. And I'm not telling you anything you don't already know, but it's always a good reminder, I find, either at the start of the year or the start of the financial year, if you're setting your business goals, to have a really good look at your strategy, because it's no good just keep going along doing stuff, having a goal like mine, for instance, at the moment, focusing on writing my book, if there's not that deeper strategy and reason behind it. And what I know from my own experience is that dream goals don't happen if there's no action. And that those desired outcomes from the dream goals don't happen if there's no strategy. And that action and momentum doesn't happen if you don't have the action chunked down into tasks, into schedules, and be able to sort of tick them off as you go, because that's actually what creates the momentum. So just going back to that strategy was something I really needed to do in August. I found that it was helpful for me in rising up from some of the knocks I had earlier in the year, coming back into some of my goals and redoing the goals or starting to get momentum around those same goals, is actually just revisiting the strategy and making sure that everything aligns and is being done for very purposeful, very meaningful reasons. So, okay, that probably sounds a bit, whip ass, Jilinda, for August. And in some cases, some people may feel, and because of what I've been through recently, that it can easily become a recipe for overwhelm, especially when you feel like you've got too many balls in the air that you're juggling. But for me, August was actually really good to just slow down and look at the strategy and get really, really clear on what those desired outcomes are. The why, the real purpose, for what reason am I doing this, and what's that going to give to others? Because, of course, my driver is always about making a difference for others. So it needs to be that it aligns with that. But you know what I also learned? August and this whole year has taught me how important agility matters. So dropping that need to control every little aspect and just simply enjoy the process of a creative journey. Once the strategy and the goals and the tasks are all kind of there, then just allowing it to flow in its own pace and not feeling you've got to control every little aspect. It's been a big aha for me for August, and that the agility around when these things get done and how they flow is really important, because it just allows that beautiful flexibility and an enjoyment of the journey, rather than feeling like, everything has deadlines and, things that really push us into overwhelm very easily. So I'm going to give you a little hint about September because we flipped over into September, and in September I'm embracing, more specifically, my word of the year, which is latitude. And latitude is all about a sense of freedom, the flexibility of which the agility that I just spoke of fits nicely with, and also a real sense of fulfillment. I'm going to be talking more about that very, very soon because in a fortnight's time, I'm going to be starting a new video series that is shorter, more random and more regular, and is all about giving you some latitude lives, if you like, some latitude in motion. And I'll tell you more about that in a fortnight. So until then, have a really wonderful September, the start of spring. How gorgeous is that? And for me, the start of a major adventure. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.